Well, hello, and welcome. This is Jonah the Jewel Design, and today we're going to get right into it. It should be a Thursday, I hope, for all of you. It could be later if you're, of course, overseas and in Europe or somewhere else. Who knows what day it is for you guys? It could be 10 hours later, or it could be, a day. But anyways, I appreciate you all being here, coming along, watching over. I just realized I left my glues out last night. Oh, it's going to be cold. Oh. Whoops. All right. So, we are here today working on the cover. We started a project on Monday. If you're new to me, I can always link that up here in the corner. Maybe I will plop it up here and link you back to Monday's video. We were starting on a new 5x7 journal and realized that my original idea was not working out as planned. The goal is to try to do something with this lovely French purple kit I have. I made them 5x7 pages with ephemera. And I decided to make it 2 signatures. We were going to put it in this cover. I don't know if it's going to work, though. Going to make a cover, get it going with you guys. I had an idea how to use fabric batting and maybe some thread to do some, like, a batting tuft type of look. And see what comes out. Now, whether the inside will match the kit, we'll have to decide. I thought we get to the outside, we get a tuft, see how far we get today, and then we have to decide. Because I think my purple kit sticks out still too far, which means I'd have to trim it, and I'm a little leery about doing that because not all the pages do well with that. So, anyway, we're going to craft and chat today and get this journal cover done one way or another. Someone did suggest that maybe putting just like in the binder that we were going to use is a Tim Holtz small binder, 2-rung binder. When I put the papers in, though, it looked like it was going to be really sticking out. Even my 5x7s were going to be long. So it's really a 4x6 type of paper in there. So even for this one, since this was part of the packaging, this might be really cute, just grabbing a bunch of old, what is it, just like construction and ledger paper and weird little things that would be small and easy and be fun to just throw in here for journaling. And maybe a few scraps of digital papers that you didn't really care how you cut it. And so that might be what this becomes, a very vintagey type, because we have this lovely tapestry that we're using. It is like a brocade type, two-tone, moves around as you move. You sort of see the different things back and forth. But it's a floral pattern. Looks like it would have been a table runner or a tablecloth type of deal. We found it at the thrift store. So I cut some pieces up. We were going to put them as covers in the store. But I didn't have enough things to pair it up with. So it's on the to-do list to put in there. We may just make some soft covers out of it and put them up for sale that you guys could then decorate from there. But I had a scrap left over, so I thought we'd give it a shot. And I thought it does look pretty with the French kit. It's not that it won't. It'll look great with vintage. There's plenty of ways to work it. So that will, no matter what, this won't be a waste. And I might do a really good job on it and then just sell it as a cover. Who knows? But we're taking an insert for packaging. It was supposed to help keep the binder from going anywhere, right? It is, let's see, we are 4 3/4, which is probably why I'm struggling with the papers, by 6 5/8. So it's definitely smaller than a 5x7 in all ways. Not 5 here, definitely not even 7 here. So a 4x6 papers would give you room to maneuver in here. So we could probably have more fun with this in a different way, but we'll see. You know me, I'll try. But what I want to do is just put batting on the white side. I always like keeping the brown on the end, so if I show anything, it's great for inking. But we're going to do the white on the outside since I don't need it. We're going to glue the batting to it. Then we're going to cover it with fabric, tuck it up in, and then I want to try to see if I can do French knot tuft spots, like a headboard, to the front cover for some extra dimension before you would decorate it. So I hope you're all doing really, really well. Hope all's going. I know St. Patrick's Day is right around the corner now. Isn't that lovely? Which means we're already halfway through. We're almost halfway through. Today's the 14th for you guys. So, yeah, it means we are on the verge of halfway through March already. I don't know where the time went. It's like, no. We just started March. What the heck? Oh, my goodness. So busy. And, weather started warming up this week, which was nice. Not as warm as expected. There was rumors of 78 degrees by today and then through the weekend, but that has dropped down to barely 70. So I was like, okay, that's what it is. Now I'm going to tuff even. I'm not going to tuff it, but I'm even going to pad the spine so that when you do your sewing, if you sew it in, you could either do a hidden spine where you sew your signatures into a piece of paper and you glue that paper down to the inside of this. And you wouldn't mess with the outside of your cover, which is a good idea too, which that's not a bad idea. I did like doing my three increment stitching, sort of adds an extra layer to your infinity figure 8 ordeal. And that turned out really well on one of my last journals. I really liked it, especially when you have multiple signatures. It's a really pretty look. And especially if you had itty bitty beads. That would be really pretty at intervals. You probably could, you know, really work. There's a lady, Germany or Russia, I don't know, she's overseas somewhere, she's in Europe. Love watching her. She makes the prettiest binders, or prettiest books. Normally just plain paper, but her covers are so pretty. She does the most detailed work in here, in her spines, to put in multiple signatures, and it's so pretty to watch. I wish I could order one, just to have it. I don't know what I would do with it, just to, you know, I'm like, I think it'd take forever, though, to get to me. I'm like, I think it'd take forever to get to me. So, I think for the most part, I'm going to trim off the excess, because I really don't want too much to go around. Originally, when I thought about this, I have gone around and around, guys. I have thought about 50 ways to sign in how to do this cover. And every time I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so much work. I was going to do, you know, the batting with the fabric, and we were going to tuck it all in, but then I was afraid this would get really thick when we tucked it in. Or tucked it over, like really thick. And I was like, well, I don't want super thick on the inside, because then I can't really hide anything, and it's that much harder to cover. And then, so then I was like, oh, wait a minute, just match it to the board, right? Use the fabric to tuck it in nice and tight. So that was great. But then I was like, well, how do I hide that? Do I cut the fabric with the shears so that you have that triangle? Oh, I don't know. I've gone back and forth. I do have a great idea, if I was going to make this with a purple kit, how to cover the inside. Because remember, we have those pages that we cut in half for the binder. And they do have, though, what's the word? Holes in them. So I was going to use those holes and actually make 2 grommets on both ends to sew it. But then I thought they were too far in. Oh my gosh, guys. I have gone back and forth. I have gone crazy. That's why this video was not done back to back, because, but see, there we go. So now we have some padding to give it some floof. Okay. And all I did was use my fabric tack for a moment, because we know that this is going to be, and also I was going to sew this, like sew these two together and then wrap it. Oh my gosh, I've done so many things, but I don't want to lose the fringe. So I'm going to try to not, I don't want to fussy cut it either. I need more space, so that won't work. Okay, so I'm going to cut this down here, because I want to leave a strip. I want to use that. I would love to use this for an edge piece. I don't really want to lose the little fringe that's on one end, because it is hemmed and fringed like that. So I think it was a tablecloth or a runner, where you want that look, right? Or napkins or something. It was a good piece, actually. It was about double the width, I think, but it was super long. So it was perfect for like clean cut covers that we want to do. So I'm going to give myself just enough space all the way around. Might be a little more than I want, but I want to make sure there's enough. I want just enough to be able to tuck it up. Okay, if you can't see. Tuck it up and, do this kind of thing with it. So it keeps it nice and tight. So we want to make sure it's not, it's tight enough to where it's not loosey-goosey here. Of course, this is probably not cut perfectly straight either, in any sense of the word. I think it's like the last piece that I have anyway, so last piece that it's like I had some problems cutting. I was like, oh yeah, I haven't cut fabric in a while, and so I was all over the board on that one. I was like, I go to cut something and I'd do my. Normally I'm really good about adding in, and I can start like at 2 and add the 12 and know it's supposed to be at 14, and then I all of a sudden moved it to 0 and still cut the wrong, cut at 12 or cut at something, and I was like, oh, that's the wrong length. It was bad. I was having a hard time when we first got the store going. I was like, okay, well, the fabric was inexpensive. Thank you for that, and I'm like, it's my fabric, lesson learned. Okay. I do appreciate those who bought some of them. They do have fabric cover kits in the shop, but where you get 2 pieces of fabric with the batting, you can sew it together, and you have a sort of a padded but a padded fabric cover. Then you could sew diagonals in it and quilt it and whatever, and I have a nice soft fabric cover. So I do have a few in. They're very vintage and a little green and a little folly. So it'd be something worth getting now, and you'd have it for your next project. Now, I'm just trying to see the best way to do this. This would be something where, yes, corners would be great if we can get them on. I don't know whether just to do this and go. I hate to do this and go in because you always end up with that weird triangle on the top. So I'm wondering if I should just, I know it's not even, and that's my only worry, is if I just cut the corners. Well, if I glue it as evenly as possible down first, and then, you know, lightly, at least do a light trim. It doesn't be a perfect, but that way there's not so much fabric being tucked down. But let's glue it down first. That way, not that way. Let's do it on this one. I'm like, at least a general. I don't have to do perfect because, yeah, I'm gonna tuff it around. Tuck it. I keep saying tuffing. Tuffing. I want to tuff it. I don't know why. I am going to do some work, but I had the idea. It's there. I just don't know if it's the right for the cover that I'm trying, for what I'm trying to do, right? I just don't know if it's the right cover. I'm just so worried about having to trim so much off of my purple kit to get it to fit. For some, it's already a 5x7. And I did do some more pages, and I was guessing at the size, and so I have a few pages that are definitely shorter. I took a few pages from my old purple kit that I'm not allowed to sell anymore. I didn't tell you guys that story, huh? So if I don't know. I probably told it at one point, but it's been a long time. I didn't do it last week. I got sidetracked. So let's do that. So I had made a purple kit. Again, very similar to this one. A little less graphics. It was more photos. Myself and my daughter had taken a bunch of photos of purple flowers around my backyard, because I have a lot in my yard, and I have even more now. And I had taken it, and it was one of my first kits. I was playing with a photo. It was a photo book, photo image type kit. And there's a lot of shades of purple, right? So I thought, well, I would play with it a little bit. And I sort of knew, but I didn't. Like, I was like, well, it's not, I didn't say 50 Shades of Gray. I said 50 Shades of Purple. And other people have done it. Shades of Purple or 50 Shades of it. And so I thought it was okay. So I ran it for like over a year and a half. And all of a sudden, the 50 Shades trademark, in UK, by the way, and maybe because Itzy's also UK, they, all of a sudden popped me and pulled the kit. They said, copyright infringement, da-da-da-da. I'm like, so I looked it up, and 50 Shades of Grey went ahead and copyrighted and patented, or whatever, 50 Shades. Not 50 Shades of Grey, but 50 Shades. So anybody who uses it, if they get caught, has to pull. Now, I have found, of course, all kinds of product, both 50 Shades of Purple, 50 Shades of Grey, 50 Shades of stuff. I mean, we're talking, all kinds of stuff. Now, 50 Shades of Grey is, of course, a book, slightly racy. Now, I can understand some products that are close to the industry that would indicate, like, men's apparel or women's apparel, men and women apparel, or beauty products or whatever. Yeah, okay, I could get it. Like, you are totally taking your chances, and you are writing that, you're writing the coattails of that. I get it. But I was not. It's a graphic. It is of purple flowers. But I used the word 50 Shades. So I had to be pulled. I was like, fine, whatever. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. You're getting on this little me. I made like $17 maybe off this kit. That's all I made. I didn't break the bank. And I should have folded those down first, huh? It was funny though. So 2 summers ago, while I had needed something else to do, me and my daughter had taken more photos, and for once we had stuff that wasn't just summer, like, it wasn't just folly. And so we, I thought, okay, well, I'll do another kit, and it'll be purple, and it'll be, because I have to have a purple kit. I have to have at least one purple kit in my, repertoire, especially since I had to pull one. So I did a better job, of course, because I'm like, okay, it's been a while anyway. It's new to me, it's new, and I've now got a whole nother respect and direction for stuff. It's like, okay, fine. So yeah, no, that was funny. I was just like, okay, you little me somehow got the attention of, a UK company, and I was like, and not in a good way. I'm like, bummer. I'm like, bummer. So I had to pull. So anyway, I grabbed a bunch of stuff, got some inspiration from graphic fairy and I don't know what, my own photos. We had plenty of more photos to play with, and so, you know, I created this French purple kit because I had a lot of French accents or French documents and images and stuff that came, you know, from graphic fairy and other places. So I was like, all right, you know, we can do this. We can come up with something else. That's fine. No big deal. So anyway, so I still have the file, but I just can't sell it that way. I'd have to, and they even said, do anything, release it back in any way. And I'm like, are you even looking at it? Do you even know what they try to hit me for? For something that has nothing to do with their branding. Absolutely nothing. It's a color coding thing. There's all these shades of purple and pink and whatever. Yeah. Anyway, right. Anyway, so this kit was born. But I was in the hospital, you know, trying to stay busy when my husband was going in and out of treatments and tests and stuff like that. So, you know, I'd be sitting there while he was sleeping or waiting for him to come back from a test. And so I put the kit together. So that's why it was sort of in pieces. The kit did not go out all in one fell swoop. I did the pages first, and they were 5x7s. I didn't make them really big. I don't know what made me think to do a small kit, because I think it felt like a lookbook type of feel with a little bit of writing. I always try to give you guys a writing page or a blank enough page to write on. So yeah, that cut, I almost got that too small, and so I'm having a really hard time. This one may definitely need covers, even though we're doing everything else. It might need book page covers, or the Tim Holt type things. Though I have a bunch of Amazon ones that are really cute, so I have all kinds of different sizes, which is nice. Where I'm not stuck with like one exact design and one size. I can go really thin, or I can go really, really thick with my corners. So yeah, it was sort of funny. I was like, okay. It's just fine. This one's really pretty. And you could, I mean, it's 5x7, so it's 7 tall by 10 wide. You could probably blow it up to about 105 or 110%, and you get almost an 8.5 by 11 page. Because I made the mistake of taking a full page and tried to drop it down to like 80%, and that was definitely smaller. I'm like, oh, okay, I don't need to like shrink it by 90%. I would have been fine. So I guess I'm cutting these corners. Oh, darn. Yeah, still, I think you have to have your sides all exact same width, and then corner. Like I said, the lady who I watch and love watching her make books, she was doing it by hand, and then she got smart and she started creating tools that you could put up against your book edges, and you know exactly where to mark and cut a perfect 1/2 inch or 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch frame mat to fold over, and she has the corners, so when you put it up against it, you know exactly how much to cut off. Like, it's beautiful tools, perfect tools for this kind of ordeal. But she's not in the US, so I don't know how long it takes to get anything from her. And I have to translate her site. Then I have to translate the site because it's definitely, not in English. But I love watching her on Instagram. She'll do her shorts, and she'll, we'll watch her put stuff together. So, but anyway, so yeah, I got this pretty kit, and I'm all stoked about doing it. But I'm now trying to figure out the perfect cover for it. Right? I don't even think I have. I know I have a smaller book for my Christmas snowflake thing. I don't know if I'm ever getting back to that one. I got the papers in, and then I got sidetracked with the business, so I'm like, oh, okay, I don't know if I'm getting back to that. I'm just going to sort of trim off a little extras here to see if I can flatten it out a little bit, not make it too puffy. Now, if I decide not to do this with the purple kit, what I'll do is take some vintage documents, like Tim did for the inside, for the inside print of his thing, and I will probably then fill it in right here, and then find a ribbon or something to help like blend things in. So plus we don't want to see all the tuffing. Man, is that the right? Is that the right word? Is that the right when you have a tuft edge? I don't know. Well, you see on backboards or headboards of like the really soft fabric headboards where it's nice and floofy, and you see all the indented areas. You'll see when I get going. Hopefully that goes right. But anyway, there's ways we have to cover all that. We have to hide all that. So I want to. There we go. That's not too bad. So now, beautiful. So here we go. Nice and clean. Not too shabby. I didn't do too bad in here. So I mean, it helps with some of that, but I think I'd love to keep a nice clean look, but if I have to cover all this because it doesn't seem to be very clean, it looks too tight, we might have to, we might have to put some really pretty covers on it. I just don't know. Sometimes when it's too puffy and you put those corners on it. But I don't know. It may not be a bad thing. We may be able to. I think it'll be a really pretty cover when we're done, guys. I just don't think it's going to be what I thought for. I think it's just going to be a pretty cover that I will sell with papers in it. I think I'm going to go vintage. I'm going to go eco-dyed. I think I'm going to go pretty basic and see if I can, either shrink images down to work or get just some old stuff to work with. So, okay. So the big question is, doesn't really matter. I love how when you just, it's like a hologram, right? When you turn it, you see all the different colors and the way it pops up. This one is, yeah, you could totally do your stitch work here. I would love doing it in thirds and doing like a minimum of 3, because I was wanting to put 2 in here, which is not bad either. No less than 2. But even 3 small signatures would be really pretty. Do the template and see the 3 section, 3 signature thread work here. And if I had itty bitty beads, something of gold or iridescent would be pretty. Like even at the two spots, trying to tie in some beads here would be really pretty. But I'm not going to get that. I don't think I'm going to get that thing. I think if nothing else, I will probably hide. Knowing me, I'll hide the work inside here. So what you do is you get your template and your piece of paper and you sew it into the paper and then you glue the paper down, or into cardstock, even better. So you measure it here, you mark it up, you sew it in, and then you glue your cardstock and signature into here. Just like you would do with any kind of other, like you glue in pages to a book. So, and otherwise, yeah, paper here, glue it down. Now, here's the fun part. Here is the challenge. Here's what I really wanted to do, at least for the front cover, to see if it's even possible. And I may find out it's not. Carefully undo it. French knots and a little tuffing. So, what I thought we would try to do, it's about, is that I'm gonna, on the inside, I'm not gonna do this on the outside. So you gotta start from the front anyway, or start from the back and work your way in. I was going to try and create a grid here so I know where I want to evenly make these guys. Figured if I just, I'm only gonna do the front. I'm not gonna do the front and back. The back's gonna stay nice and thin. Okay, so there's that. Let's go the other way and see what it does. It may give me exactly where I want to do this, and it may not. It may give me the cross hatches. Like I'm a little off, but that's all right, because it goes to here. Let's see if I can find some spots to do some French knots on the other side. Pull it tight and get me, right? It's quite a bit. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3. I mean, every one of these cross hatches, which I will not do, of course, all on camera. I could start 1 or 2 to give you ideas. But I'm not great at French knots either. If you like embroidery work, So the only thing I'm missing is this bottom hatch. Let's see if we can. Yep, right there. There we go. That last one I didn't cross through, right? But those are, but you sort of see if you can see it. I mean, and so you get that cross hatch with, when you're doing quilting, you would sew these lines. Every line you see, you would sew, which I cannot sew straight to save my life. So, trying to do a quilt work doesn't work. But, and there's probably one way out here where the two connect, but I think it's right outside the line, which is fine. That's still 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Not shabby. Not too bad. It's a lot. I can decide 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2, right? I could decide to only do certain ones at first. 1, 2, 3, 4. See how it's looking. I think you need to keep hitting those marks. I think it's 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2 for sure. I think I really, really want to do these. And then I'll work my way out from there to see how much more I want to do. I'm like going, a little worried here, right? So here's what I'm going to do. I don't know if I can see it. Nope. Like I need a color so I do not get confused here without, give me a moment. I don't want to do too much, but just lightly. Just the tiniest tip so I don't get confused on which ones I want to do first. Right? So I did find a dark greenish antique color in my thread that I think will look nice with this. I didn't want it to be too obvious, But I think the dark will give you that shadow also to help it, even though it's going to be a French knot. So I just used my ruler. So I had a nice even grid both directions. Picking my intersections to do my French knots to help give it a poofier feel. Oh, maybe, right? I am using the needles that we use when we do our sewing. I am not putting a hole in them or now at least, unless I find out. I don't want to take a chance of making too big of a hole. So if I feel that as I'm doing this, this isn't going through very easily, I may take the awl that we use to make our holes and put a slight hole in there to help get through the fabric. But we'll see. I'm hoping the needle itself will do the job so I don't have to. But yeah, if you do embroidery work, you understand what a French knot is. If not, I don't know what to tell you. I'm like, ugh. I mean, I'll show you. I'm just not good at it. And the nice thing is we can do a lot of our work here on the back side, and all you see is the pretty on the inside. And we're going to cover it with paper one way or another. You could, when I'm done, you could get a piece, if you can cut to match, because I can't. You could get a piece of fabric, and once you're all done, to keep it in sync, find a lighter colored one. You could just do the shear cut, use your shears, right? And, zigzag the edges and make sure it overlaps here, and you could totally glue that down and cover up all this floof that's going to be a mess. I'm just going to do it with paper, I think. What I wanted to do originally, what did I do with it? I don't even know where my papers are. I keep rearranging things constantly because I don't know what to do. What did I do with the paper? I must have moved it because I thought I wasn't going to use it. I can't decide if I'm going to use it. It's a problem. Anyway, I had one of the pages I cut in half. And I was going to, here it is. And I may still, I was going to cut this a little bit, right? Top and side to fit inside here. And I see these are the two holes that were there. So I was going to grommet these two on front and back, and then that way we could tie it together. But if the pages stick out, that gets in the way. And then when we're done, I was going to hide it so I don't have to, with the purple thread. I have a bunch of this purple thread, and I was just going to sort of box out each panel to enhance the purple on this. So if I get the papers the way I want it and I'm happy, that may be what I do. Otherwise, this is just going to be a really pretty vintage cover with basic papers in it sewn in, and it's just going to be a great little writing book for somebody. So we'll see. All right, I have doubled up on the thread, thread it through, matched it up, get a nice knot in the back here because we don't want anything to go through. And let's give it a shot. Let's see. Let's go through the middle. Yeah, no, that goes through beautifully, so I don't need to do the awl, but my knot is not big enough because I don't have a heavy thread. I could use the wax thread, but I don't know if my French knots would do really well. I think they'd be really, really big, and I don't want these, obnoxious. I just want them what they are. So I hope everybody's doing well. I guess I could zoom in on this a little bit, maybe. Yeah. So you can see my work on the inside. There's my front cover, so we're gonna, of course I've now made the hole, so now I gotta see if I can get, my needle may still be too big. I may have to do a thinner needle. I'm just trying to make it easier on my hands and stuff. I don't know. Eek. That's a really good hole. So, now, yeah, it keeps going right through. I could glue it so that it doesn't keep going through. My worry is on the other end is that going to do the same thing. Is it when I go back in, which you're not supposed to go through the exact same hole. Well, that's not going to work, is it? I'm going to do that French knot, try to go put it back through, and if I have to go a different spot, I could even get tape if I really just wanted to do something really easy. I need cheap. Let me find some cheap washi tape here. Ooh, I have little dots. Where's my beige dots? I have, of course, my fall ones that are light colored that may not show up or hiding. Of course, why would they be accessible? Shoot. I have, oh wait, well, hold on guys, let me see something. Oh, there they are. Here's the ones. It's like I could tape it down, and that might help both ends. Or I have these washi dots. Let's see if that will help. Let's see something here. Trial and error, right? So, yeah, I'll do the one, and if it looks like it's a problem, I'm going to have to go for the much smaller needle, a normal needle. All Alright, so I guess French knots, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Depends on your thing. 5, 6. I'm going to go 8 because I really, really want, and you go next to the hole you were in, but you know, this is a big hole, so next to it, pull it in. You're supposed to hold it so that when it comes through, it grabs it all. I went for an 8 so you could see it, tighten it up. I'm never clean though. I always seem to have this. What I don't care for is that. And if I go back through, I'm not careful in any way. I mean, I can make this work, but it's not my favorite thing to do. I always feel like I have something that is loose. I always have a loose string. So there, I could do that. I think that'll work. It's a little bit of TLC. It really is. Make a knot or two. Haha. Make a knot or two. Does require quite a bit of string, so don't go too thin on your thread. I think that's my biggest issue when I do these. I try to go like use every ounce, and it's like, nope, you need a lot to sort of. Come on, what are you caught on? Oh, weird. If I yank too hard though, I'm gonna lose my hole. All right, this is where we're just going to. We're not going to stress over it because it is going to be covered with paper, which will also help keep everything in place, right? All right, so I can do it that way. The 8 works. I just got to get my French knots a little tighter so there's not anything extra. But yeah, if we do the 4, and I think we just keep doing them. I think it might be really pretty to do that sort of indented. All right, but I think that this needle is definitely too big. It goes through real easy, so I don't have to worry about that. I'm not like struggling through some really thick anything. So I think in that sense, we're fine. Gluing isn't necessary. I have no problem using my dots to keep things in place if it becomes a problem, right? Okay, so let's go smaller needle. Oh, wait, truthfully, what are we all up to this week? Today, graphics, family, spring. And like I said, if St. Patrick's Day is on Sunday, then, you know, we're halfway through we're coming up being halfway through the month already, which, oh my gosh, you know, means we're before you know it. I have some good sized needles in here still. Like, they don't have to be super thin, but that's, yeah, let's do that. That's a good hole, but not so much that I have to feel like I'm running through. I think I can get one more knot out of this one. I have a tendency, sometimes it's almost better to have it tight, but if you can't wrap it around the end of your nail too many times, which the bigger your needle, the harder it is to wrap any kind of length around it. I don't, and if I had heavier duty thread, but my embroidery thread, I didn't think to even go through my embroidery thread. I don't know if it's much. It was, you would double up. You would use 2 or 3. I could use 2 strands and still double up on it, and I could probably get what I wanted to, but I didn't even think to go through that. I was just trying to get it together. I had so much going on last night. I was trying to prep things for photos, for new stuff for the shop, and I was trying to get this ready because I've been struggling. I wanted to do this like on Tuesday for you guys, and I'm literally doing it the night before you see this. Because, well, let's see. Side, top, doesn't really matter. Let's just go for this one. I just want to make sure I like it all before I keep adding. You space it out and you work your way in. See, that seemed to work. Seems to be, I don't think it's staying up here, but it is sticking in the fabric. So if you don't pull too hard, it's like when you hide your ends, you put it in the fabric. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I'm going for 8 for whatever reason. I just want to make sure it's, oh, not too far over, that's alright. Oh, that one worked. Okay. Woohoo! Nice little French knot. Do your knot in the back. And, you know, if we want to be on the safe side, we can just glue it down. Now, of course, even my stickers aren't working all that well. Don't think I need to do it, but, you know, if I felt I had to worry about it, I could. If I really wanted to type. But we are covering this one way or another, so, yeah, see, if I'm afraid, what I'm afraid is it's not going to stay tight. We want it tight, otherwise it doesn't stay tucked in. So we are going to try to keep it tight and keep it tied down. That way, it doesn't come loose. Otherwise, it's just sitting there on top and there's no point. So, it's funny how it's off-centered here when I swear I went to the edge, but because, yeah, I guess I could have moved it over a little bit, but I went from end, end to end, so, all right. Yeah, if we do enough of them, no one will realize what the deal's going on, right? All right, so that's what we're doing right now. I don't think you want to watch 40 minutes of that. I can show you later. Maybe in the picture in the preview. If this goes well, the preview picture will show it all tufted up and you'll be able to see how it ended. I don't think I could even do it on a speed up. I don't know. Who knows? Bummer part is the excess thread that I won't be able to keep. It irritates me to waste thread. Isn't that amazing? It's so weird. It's one thing where I guess maybe with my hand stitching years, I didn't like wasting thread. So I know a lot of times they say, start and stop, do your section, cut it off, and tuck it under, and then, move on to the next area. Then again, I hated stopping and starting. So if I could cut over underneath the fabric or in the back where I was going to cover it up anyway, I would, but, I would go straight over and then work the rest of it. Unless I was really tight on my thread. If I didn't have a lot of thread or I really didn't want to waste it, then yes, I would knot it off and then start, move over and start again. But, it was sort of weird, like which one's better, right? Doesn't really matter how much thread I use to do it, then I might as well just cut it, stitch over and then, work my way. And I would start and stop. Like I would see if I went this way, went that way, went this way, okay, I could keep moving forward and work my way across the fabric sample without having to stop and start, because I wouldn't like start here, finish, and be like, oh, I have to move over here now. So I would start up here, work my way around and do it. I would work my way in circles so that I could just keep moving from one image to the next that I was outlining. So I have that. But this, yeah, no, I don't want that much space, and because there are good gaps. That's a lot of thread. I don't really feel like wasting. Then again, I don't know. I'm like, I couldn't use it. So yeah, French knots, you definitely have to have a certain amount of thread to wrap around your needle. So the bigger your needle, the more you have to try to wrap around that, and that could be very, very annoying. But it all depends. There's probably ladies out there who got this down pat. 4, 5, 6, and 7, and 8, and probably can do French knots in their sleep, and I'm not one of them, but that's okay. I think my mom's really good at French knots. Oh, I think it's just how I do it. Yeah, it's just how I do my French knots aren't always great. They're not, I don't understand why they're not. I'm missing what way to go with it, I think, to grasp it all. And so I don't catch it. It's like, no. Not tight enough, not something. Hello. I'm trying to do French knots in my, I'm like, no, just knot it, silly. There we go. Okay. We're just going to make do. And I'm going to give myself enough of a tail to pull up on and cover so it stays tight. That's all I'm doing. So I appreciate you guys all coming along. We'll do a quick trial and error here for a second so you can see what I'm doing. But I love the idea of this being part of my purple kit. But okay, so what I'm worried about is that it is taller. It's a match the line in the back. It is taller, and it is, which, okay, not a big deal. That could be a slight trim off the top. I mean, a slight, because these aren't all the same size, because some of these match up a certain document or whatever. But if I have to trim the edges, as you can see, that's a huge gap. And I don't mind deckling a little bit, like cutting that in half and just deckling up the edge of it. And it's fine on the fronts, but when you get to the back, then like that one's fine. That's already short. That's good. When we get into these pages, when I deckle, we're going to have very little extra, like this purple on the edge is going to be there. You're going to see more of this, which I could distress a lot of it. Use my purples, my purple and my pink, and I could totally distress it to make it blend. But you sort of lose the border around the writing space. And that is an OCD of mine that sort of bugs me. But these pages might be where I slightly trim the top and bottom, and I deckle the two edges, and it might work, right? I'm not too worried about the inside. These guys have some room to maneuver. It's a little tight on that, but, you know, little things like that aren't bad. Yeah, I'll lose a little bit of this kind of deal. But I don't know. Because once I commit, I have to do it. And I think part of me just feels like then I grabbed all the paper and I did all this stuff, and I'm like, well, I've got 2 signatures worth. This is definitely smaller, which is great, but not by much. I may have to bring that in too. Now see, that one I end up, when it's folded, because I didn't trim this one, it fits inside beautifully. So it's just the top that needs to be trimmed off. So I don't know. I think the purple would be really pretty in here. I think it's a great kit to have in this one. And then I have, you know, ideas for the front cover. So all a flat floral, you know, decorating over this, over the top of this. So this becomes part of its own. Because once I do it, I do it. I can get back to that. So, because I don't have, the thing is, I don't have anything else for that purple kit. I have no idea how else to cover it up right now. I don't have any fabric for it. I used all the fabric that I bought, purple fabric that I bought for the purple idea book. It wasn't a lot of it. It was just a couple fat quarters, and that's what allowed me to do all my tabs. And I think I used the rest of the fabric, I think, to do a cover for the fairy kit for my girlfriend's Christmas present. So I don't even have any other purple fabric that I'm aware of that would look good with this kit. So this might be my best bet. So you know what? We're going to go for it. So I'm going to show you my idea for the inside here. Because we're just going to go for it. So I'm going to take the page that we cut. I already put holes in it to match. Let's measure this out and trim it. We want it just inside everything so that there's no gap. And it's okay to be a little inside because that fabric the ribbon is going to help us cover up what we don't need. So we're going to, I don't know, handy dandy, right? I'd like it to be a little more obvious, but let's see if I can do this. If I measure both ways and see. Go that way. Not use that. Now the tops and bottoms I'm going to leave, yeah, this is going to be a straight cut. This is not going to be I don't know if I want to straight cut it. Hold on. I mean, I will, but I think I want to sort of fold it down to make sure, because I'm really worried that that is not straight. I don't mind the holes. We're going to do the grommets. I think we're going to we're going to fold it before I cut it because it doesn't look straight, because I think when I moved it, I may not have kept things as straight as it looks, but then sometimes my pages aren't straight, and yeah, no, that's the right way. So we go here where I think I want it. So I just want to make sure that when I do it, you know, everything has an even amount, enough to where I have something to cover. It's not too short, it's not too small. So when I put ribbon over this border, you know, we've got something to work with. And then we are definitely going to need to make sure we're inside here on both of these. And that's not really a good indicator, right? Let's see if we can do this. There's no exact measuring on this one because I'm 10 to 1. You know, I mean, this should be straight. It came to me packaged that way. But that doesn't guarantee anything. I could leave the folds down and just glue them down so I don't have to worry about cutting and making it worse. But that is bulk, which, you know, bulk on the edges is maybe not a bad thing, but may not be a great thing on the inside. So what I can do is, let's see. Now it is right inside that grommet, which is fine. It just gives me, you know, a point of reference, but I couldn't get the circles out because I thought we were putting it in the thing. When you think you've got something and then you're like, oh, well, that's not working. So we'll cut the corners out like we've seen everybody do so that that's less bulk in that corner. Now it does reinforce those holes so that if I wanted to, you know, I don't have to do the grommet thingy. Let's see how this works. Now with this, I may decide to match up the other side, but probably not, because I have a feeling I could totally match it, because I've got to do, well, I'm going to do it the other way. There we go, this way. We want to match it up. So it's about the same spot. Oh, maybe I will. You know what? We'll trim it. We'll glue it back down. Alright, it is not straight, but I'm not sure why it's not straight. If it's from my cut job or if it's from what I'm trying to match up. And that's the thing. You're trying to, like, even it out, and I'm going to use of course, the ribbon to sort of, you know, square it out and not make it so obvious. And once I put the ribbon down there, you're not even going to see those. So maybe I won't grommet it. That'll help too. If I can find another way to close this, I don't have to worry about some of the length sticking out. Because if I want to put lace and stuff my worry about these two and tying it on the inside, whereas on the inside of the page, not around the outside of the book, it was going to get in the way of all the lace and the papers. And so that was my other worry. So now, the way I'm cutting this, really, I'm just trying to be able to keep that down. I'm probably not. I'm probably totally overthinking this, guys. You know, this is me we're talking about. I overthink things, especially lately. Cheese and crackers. It's the OCD in me and maybe some of my daughters. Or not my daughters. I mean, I don't have my daughters. My daughter has mine, I guess. The OCD and ADHD and the anxiety and the worry and the overthinking and it's hereditary. I'm like, it's hereditary. Oh my goodness. I'm living in a world where just being a female in general, right? And having to compete and that stereotype of still having to do just as good. And it's like, as any man. You're, no, I'm just fine. No man could do what we're doing. Heck no. I can't say that. Take that back. I'm so sorry. There's some wonderful guys out there. I take that back. I have two guys I adore who do this industry both digitally and handmade, and they rock. Absolutely rock. I'm sorry. The typical man. My hubby couldn't do what I'm doing. How's that? My hubby, as much as I love him, couldn't do what I'm doing, and he knew it. He's like, nope, that is you. I have me. You do you. All right, let's go for it. I'm so done with the what's ifs, right? So I don't want to cut off the bottom, but I want the hole. And there's no the holes are probably not even going to last. Never mind. Why am I worrying about this? Oh my God! See, I'm like, nope. I think because I had so many ideas in my head, and I'm trying to figure out which way to go, and I'm like, no, you're fine. Just do your job. I am going to cut off a little bit of a word. I can't help it. I could cut more over here though off. Wait, maybe let's do this the other way. I hate to cut the wording off, but I'm going to cover it with it doesn't really matter because it's like, tell me I'm pretty or just me I'm pretty. No matter what I do, there's going to be stuff in the way. I can't do it to where I'm not going to try to keep it all the way in because then I do have dots too far in, so never mind. Oh my gosh. Right? Constant. Can't win. Always thinking. Never thinking enough. Thinking too much. I have pretty strips though now. You know me and my strips. Here. Oh. Well, now I won't, as long as I don't glue down the other side by accident, I will trim it ready to go and I'll show you the other side, but I didn't want to lose the potential of the template of this one, I guess. So we'll do this and I'll put it far side so I do not glue down the front cover when I'm not done doing my French knots. I don't want the French knots on the paper. I want the paper to cover up any delinquent issue of the French knots. Because you know me and everything. I'm like, nope, that is going to have its issues. It's going to have its moments. Do not need it to be another issue. I know I'm not ripping it, but I am doing it to make sure I have a good guide. Using this for a guide. Because the other side was short enough I could go almost scissor to scissor tip. And go from line to line, but that's a longer one that doesn't work. So let's just make sure I like the look of it, and then I'm moving it along. Again, yeah, I think a majority of the ribbon is going to cover up my holes. So if I want to, I could use that as a guideline, but ta-da! Okay, move that aside so I don't glue it down by accident. I mean, I can see what I'm doing here, and it's like, oh, but still. Here, all right, let's do the fiber tack. Just because we are doing paper on fabric and paper even on the cardboard or the pressboard. And so a little more oomph. Come on. Helps. We're gonna... at least my glitter glues, or my fabric tack seems to be working this morning. And we will definitely probably put corners on this. You know, just to keep everything really nice and tight. And working the way I want to. Oh, but I hope you're all doing really well. Spring is on its way. I put a little spring out. Well, like I said, finally this week, but we still had it rain out last minute on Tuesday. Like, it was going to rain, it wasn't going to rain, and then woke up at 5 a.m. and it was raining, and I was like, okay, that's great, why not? One less day I have to water the lawn, that works for me. So I am doing it all inside a little bit, so we don't bunch up or overdo the folds, because we want those rooms. We want that room. We want to make sure that we want to put the ribbon down that it doesn't get in the way of our folds and our creases so that things open and close nicely. I love this, but we do not want it popping up like, you know, we don't want to be like, it won't close because there's too much in there, right? We want to make, okay. So, put the ribbon in there and it'll be fine. So, the goal is, that one's stained. That's right. Okay. So I can't use it in anyway. But the goal is we do, you know, the goal is to then right at the crevice, go up, cover it, and we're going to overlap it in a way to where, you know, it's a nice constant deal. So I'll show you this one and then I'll let you guys go. You get to see what I'm doing with this cover. We're just gonna, like I said, we're just gonna make it work. I need to not be so picky. I need to make the most of it, and it is what it is, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. This is a purple rose green a friend of mine found in her stash. She found a couple colors. I was like, oh, sweet. Because I love this purple. I will always go for this purple, and it looks great with this. This lavender is looking absolutely awesome with this. I could cut these at an angle like that one is on the bottom, but if they don't match up, then we end up with some weird stuff. So I'm probably just going to do... So sorry. Cut it down just a little bit. We're just going to overlap them. At a perfect, like, quilted edge. Too short, too long kind of deal, and have them overlap. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to go all the way around so it has a nice panel in each one. The middle, if I do it, which I should have done that differently, but I will. The only difference would have been to put that piece of paper in there and hide it underneath these. But then I'm having to work around the signature to do this. So I'm going to make sure that my piece of paper, again, fits perfectly inside again in here. And if I do it right, I might even, before I get too much farther, be able to put a little bit of ink in here, right, to hide anything. But it's a pretty brown. It's great for this. It's not going to be a big deal. So we will do a hidden spine for this one. Keep it really soft fabric book on the outside, right, nice and clean. I could do a hard piece here, like you know how you do the flat brads. Might be really pretty here. I do have pretty ones, gold ones, but I don't know if they're too big. I don't know if they're too big. These pretty ones that we have in the shop, and have new ones coming in. Yeah, I lose them. They're pretty. I mean, they stick out enough. So that might be too much, so that when you're writing, I mean, they'd be really pretty though if I pushed them in hard enough. My only worry is that when you went to open it, it would, you know, it would get in the way, right? It would sit here, and it might get in the way of leaving it open to write on, and that would be, so this would be the only bummer part. But it might be pretty here as a pretty piece, so you can see, yeah, that sticks out too much for the back here to write on, but it might be pretty here. If I decide not to do anything, I could plop it here. If I'm going to have to make sure I do it for sure, to make it, you know, more of a like wrap around or just a pretty closure or a little thing to hold and open up with. So I'll have to make that decision before I cover this up, because I want to be able to get it in there and hide it before I do all of this. So I'll leave it out to remind me. But the beautiful golden pearl brads that you use for decor and closures and all kinds of fun things. And we're about to have some pastel colors. If I don't have them, I should have them in the shop by the time you see this. Fingers crossed. By the time you see this, there should be some pretty bright pastel colors of these pearl brads. So we got gold, one last thing of gold and pearl, and I think we have a couple packages of the silver with the more pastel colors. So those are pearl brads that we have at the shop, and I gotta see if I can remember to use it. I always forget to put those things in here and hide it. So the last thing I want to do is put something here. After all of this work, I don't want to have to like, oh, I put a brad through all that. Ugh, right? All right, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what we're doing. I'm going to totally do my best I can to tuff as many intersections as I can possibly handle in here. It doesn't take much. So do that for a pretty look, so that when I put florals and stuff on top, that keeps it, I'm going to keep it nice and flat though. Pretty but flat, so that it's easy to write in when you open it up. We'll put 2 signatures in here. We'll panel out the inside to hide everything. And I can't wait to show you guys. I hope the next time you see this, it will be sewn in and panels on the inside done, but maybe we'll decor the outside of the cover, and of course start working on some ephemera and pockets on the inside once I have it sewn in. So love you all very much. I really appreciate you coming along and watching me get through the hemming and hawing of my kit. I have a pretty kit. It's gotta have a pretty look, right? So we'll put this lovely French kit in here, and we will make the most of it. There's more pages. I just have to do it all, but I appreciate you all coming along, watching me attempt to do this, and I will see you guys all on the flip side. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.